First of all, happy Halloween, everyone! I'm so excited to play Touchstarved. Um, I've been looking forward to playing this game for a long time, especially since friends recommended it. Let's get right into it. This world began to unravel long before you were born. It began with fogfall. Spectral mist bled from the seams where reality wore so thin and split. And from that fog emerged monsters, inhuman beings with unnatural powers. Some possessed language and intellect. Others were mindless beasts, driven by little more than the desire to slaughter. As cities fell and unrest spread, humans united in their fear, while monsters thrived in the chaos. And then there's you. There's us. Okay. You're not even sure if you're human. You were born cursed, with hands that alter the minds of anyone you touch. Choose your backstory. I think we're going with the unnamed. Let's choose that and confirm. Your name is Yona Grindir. You selected she/her pronouns. Your backstory is the unnamed. Is this correct? Yes. Let's save. Oh, okay. Yes, that is correct. The wasteland stretches as far as the eye can see. There's nothing out here but death, the ever-present stench of decay, and countless sun-bleached bones cast like seeds across the barren land. I could say death doesn't scare me, but to tell the truth, I'm desperate. It's been 2 weeks since I joined, a caravan bound across the wastes. Finding a group that would accept me was a trial in itself. As rations grew sparse and my canteen ran dry, I began to despair. But then I saw it. What did I see? Aridia, the city of knowledge, one of the last bastions of humanity left in the world, and home to the famous academy called the Zenobium. That explains what Zenobium is. Cool. That sounds really, really cool. All the world's knowledge gathered in one place. If there's anywhere I'll find a cure for my curse, it's there. Let's hope we actually get one. But I guess if we get the bad ending or anything, that would not be the case. But it's just a prologue, so we don't have to worry about anything. All that stands between me and the cure is a final stretch of salt-soaked wastes. Or so I think, until I see the first tendrils of fog snaking beneath the wagon. Ooh, I like the background. It's such nice art style. Is this fogfall? My stomach sinks at the very whisper of it. A silent storm, more devastating than fire, dangerous in cities, but a death sentence beyond them. Ooh, looks like we're in dangerous territory. A thick blanket of fog engulfs us, smothering out the lantern's light. The wagon lurches to a stop. An eerie silence, heavy as the mist falls over us. The only warning we get is a strangled scream. Stay back! No! The cry dissolves into wet gurgling. Ooh. Then the wagon violently pitches to the side. I hit the ground hard. The air punched from my lungs. That sounds painful. When I open my eyes, adrenaline lends sudden, awful clarity to the carnage around me. having just played Rish, the Ottoman game, um, with the massacre, I can imagine how horrible the scene must have been. A trader I once shared bread with lies face down in the mud, their back reduced to long strings of torn muscle, gleaming gristle and exposed bone, bodies litter the wasteland. I try to rise, but my ankle explodes with pain so blinding, white blooms across my vision. Only when my eyes adjust do I see the dark shape in front of me. Ew. Trypophobia says hello. mm. That looks positively horrific. A soulless stoops over the twisted form of a caravaner. I freeze, but it swivels its head. A dozen bulging eyes twitch in my direction and blink as one. The soulless lets out an ear-splitting shriek and runs at me. But right before it reaches me, the beast barrels past, vanishing into the mist. Distantly, a horse screams in the dark. I need to move now. Oh, our first choice. Run for the city or head towards the wagon. I guess running, but also this looks like a monster who will easily catch up. Like we may have premonitions, but we're not monsters. Um, we don't run that fast. But also heading towards the wagon sounds like a death end. Let's save and see. I'm gonna go run for the city. I take off, running deeper into the haze. The fog is so thick that I fear I'm headed in the wrong direction until I see a dim pinprick of light emanating from the shadow of a spire. It's faint, but it's enough. I came too far to die here. Rapid footsteps echo all around me. I turn in circles, frantically searching the opaque mist for the source. But the fogfall twists and stretches sound. Suddenly, the caravan's driver bursts forth from the fog. Our eyes meet too late. He slams into me, knocking me to the ground, and slips in a patch of mud. The soulless falls on him as soon as he slows. I thought the caravaner was dead. I didn't intend to leave him behind. Oh. Oops. I'm sorry. It catches the driver by his throat and rakes his stomach with razor-sharp claws. He comes apart like wet paper, spilling intestines and viscera in a steaming tide. Fighting the urge to heave, I claw frantically through the slippery muck for a handhold. Yeah, I think we chose the wrong option there. Yeah. My hand catches on the jagged edge of a rib jutting up from the water. Bandages unfurl around the gorge torn deep into my palm. The pain's quickly forgotten when a hand closes around my wrist. Oh! Or maybe not. Maybe this was the right choice. Also, our first love interest. Interesting. Can you stand? One of the travelers from the caravan leans over me. We need to run. They reach for my hand, and I realize too late that my bandages have come undone. No! Don't touch me. Okay, now I see what they mean with curse. That actually looks painful. But I guess it's not, since we're born with it, so... The sensation of the thumb brushing the back of my hand sends a shiver down my spine. All it takes is one touch, and in the space of a breath, my curse takes hold. Oh, Jesus! What is happening? Okay, maybe he's not the love interest. I'm not sure. Jesus Christ, this is terrifying. Just look at him. My God. Their lips peel back into a deranged grin. No, I've seen this face countless times before. This is my curse, madness of my own making. Their grip on my hand tightens until pain radiates from my knuckles. Let me go. Suddenly, clammy hands crush my throat, choking off my breath. Die, 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 die. Spit bubbles at the corners of their mouth and flecks my face. The edges of my vision darken as my lungs scream for air. I think screaming for help may not be the wisest thing, considering there's still a monster about, and I cannot imagine there's any other person around there. Here. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. So I'm gonna go with fight them off. My nails gouge deep into the traveler's wrist, but no matter how much blood I draw, they don't flinch. Okay. Maybe this was also the wrong option. But why though? Screaming for help sounds kinda stupid when there's nobody around. But maybe there was. I don't know. The more I struggle, the tighter their grip grows. My pulse hammers in my ears, slowing with each thudding beat. This can't be happening. I'm going to die. And not because of the fogfall or the soulless, but because of my own curse. Tears sting my eyes. No, 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 not here. Not like this. The hands drop from my neck, leaving me wheezing for air. My lungs burn with each ragged cough. My vision clears, and the traveler's face takes shape, hovering inches from mine, lips still split in that macabre smile, even as blood seeps between their teeth. They give one last chattering breath, then slump over the claws, hooked through their stomach. It's the monster! He got us. Well, the traveler first, but he also got us. I don't think we have the energy to run away. The soulless shoves the body aside, and the glowing eyes studying its leathery skin thin as though grinning. Ugh. I hate such sounds. I can't take any such SFX sounds. There's a flash of claws. Red spill across my vision. I thought there'd be pain, but as I sink into the murky water, all I can feel is the grit of silt filling my mouth and the icy embrace of shallow water. Distantly, I notice an arm resting among an outcrop of reeds, mine neatly severed at the elbow. It should have taken both arms. Without them, maybe I could have survived. Maybe I could have had a home. Instead, I'll die cold, alone, and face down in a desolate wasteland. A fitting end for a monstrosity like me. If this is death, it's not as bad as I feared. The cold is gone, as is the choking stench of bog water. I could drift forever, cocooned in oblivion, until all thought and sensation vanished. No curse, nobody howling at me in the madness and terror, nothing at all. The thought has a terrible appeal to it. But the next moment I take a reflexive breath, air pours into my lungs, then out again in a ragged gasp. Oh, so we're not dead. Yay! I thought we'd go straight into the bad end. Feeling comes flooding back. Cloth, warm cloth on my bare skin, a firm surface underneath me, a strange tang of sulfur in the air. Do not be afraid. Oh my. Well, would you look at that? I think that is our first love interest. I guess the other one was just a random traveler trying to help us. And now he's dead thanks to us. Yay. Not. I twist my head toward the voice. Tears flood my bleary vision at the bright glow of lamplight. Try not to move. The voice is calm, steady, and commanding, but more importantly, it's a stranger's voice. One thought cuts through my mental fog. I have no idea who this is, and I'm completely at their mercy. So stay away from me. My words come out in little more than a creaky whisper. I clamp my mouth shut, hating how weak and helpless I sound. No. No. Who the hell is this? Should we sit up or lie back down? Let's lie back down. We don't have any energy to fight. I let myself slump back against a thin pillow, wincing when the motion jolts my head. Ah, a cooperative patient. Thank you. Well, I don't have much choice, do I? I was on the brink of death. The words swim in one ear and out the other, without much comprehension. I pull the sheet up higher, wiping my eyes until my vision clears. He's so pretty. Look at that gold and white, complementing his beautiful golden eyes and brown hair and brown skin. It's like, it looks great. Also the details. Oh, he looks gorgeous. Can't wait to meet the others. The stranger towers over my prone form. Warm light reflects off his pristine medical coat. I told you, I would do that again. I'm just so used to using the space bar. Why? Sorry. I instinctively shrink back, and that's when I notice that I'm completely naked, except for a thin linen sheet. Oh, well, that's embarrassing. Naked, lying on a low cot, with a pair of sharp golden eyes watching my every move. The man's gaze flickers to my exposed, unbandaged hands. I plunge my hands under the sheet to hide them from sight, though it's too late. He must have noticed what they look like. I mean, if we're naked, I think he probably checked our whole body. There's no use hiding it now, is it? Is there? Strange, cursed, inhuman. I brace myself for his inevitable suspicion and disgust, but his expression doesn't even flicker from that courteous smile. He just watches, unblessed silence as I struggle to make sense of my surroundings. Where am I? Who are you? Be calm. You are safe here. We don't know you. Why would we trust you? Why would we trust anyone at that point? Whoever this is, he clearly has no idea who or what I am. I've never been safe anywhere with anyone. What did I say? Even the shrine of my childhood, the one sanctuary I ever knew, turned out to be a horrific lie. I scowl, pulling the sheet protectively around myself. Where are my clothes? The man's golden eyes narrow slightly. A sharp sigh rustles the papers in his hands. I see you are not to be dissuaded. Your clothes were torn to shreds when I found you, but I procured replacements. Oh, so it wasn't him that undressed us. With a soft creak, he stands from his chair, giving me a better view of my surroundings. I seem to be in some sort of medical clinic. Bottles of silvery alchemical concoctions line the counters in neat rows. The air makes my nose twitch, a faint whiff of smoke and something distinctly metallic that I can't quite place. The doctor procures a large, dense bundle of cloth, which he sets at the foot of my cot. He's easily a head taller than most, and I have to crane my neck to look at him. Oh, and he's tall too? I mean, at that point, him stepping out does not change anything. Like he saw it all. So let's just thank him. I should be polite if I can, especially since I don't know who this is, what he can do, or what he wants with me. Meeting his gaze sends a hot frisson down my spine. Something about him nags at me, like a half-formed memory I can't place. Thank you. You are welcome. I will leave you to get dressed. Oh, he's polite. With a curt nod, he leads through a narrow door. I hear a soft click as the lock turns behind him. I count to 3 in the sudden silence. When I don't hear any more footsteps, I reach for the bundle of clothes. An itch on my elbow stops me short. I reach down absently to rub at it, then freeze when my fingers meet a neat line of stitches. I know what I saw. That beast took my arm clean off. And yet, my arm shows no sign of injury apart from the black stitches poking through my skin. I gingerly flex my fingers, feeling my heart race at the sensation. Oh, he must be very talented. He must know what he's doing. This is impossible. I should be dead, or at the very least, gasping out my last breaths. I squeeze my eyes shut, waiting for the pleasant dream to unravel, to wake up bleeding out in the swamp. But nothing happens. The seconds tick by, and my arm remains irresolutely healed, my surroundings pristine and quiet. In numb disbelief, I reach for the replacement clothes and begin stiffly pulling them on. They're thicker, warmer than mine were, with a black woolen cloak to go with them. But there's one thing still missing. my bandages. Ooh. So, am I gonna just bandage myself up again? Will I look through the clinic? Will I look through the drawers? The golden-eyed man didn't leave me with any, even though I know he saw my hands. I slide off the bed and take a few unsteady steps toward one of the drawers. If this is indeed a doctor's clinic, there must be bandages somewhere. I knew it. We look for them and bandage ourselves up. I start opening drawers at random, and of course, that's when the door swings open once more. Are you looking for something? Yes, bandages. I whirl around, clutching a thick roll of clean bandages. I try to step back from him, but my legs bump up against the edge of the cot. Your caution is understandable, though if I meant you any harm, you would know. That doesn't make me feel better in the slightest. I wonder why. But he makes no move toward me, so I quickly wind the bandages around my hands. Well, at least he's not angry we went through his drawers. Could have had a very bad outcome. The glowing scars and mottled skin disappear under a layer of clean white cotton. May I ask why you need additional bandages? I clench my jaw. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he asked about my hands, though the way he does it is strangely roundabout. Say nothing, glare at him, decline to answer. Well, he's being polite about this whole thing, so let's just say we're gonna decline to answer that. Well, that's a very personal question, and I don't really want to answer. Is that so? Surely you realize that I can only help you if you tell me what ails you. An involuntary snort of laughter escapes me. Where would I even begin? Would he even believe me if I told him? No, best to keep my curse to myself for now and learn more about him first. Agreed. That's smart. We don't know him. We don't know what he can do and what he would do to us. He seems polite, but you never know. People can't be polite and stab you in the back the next second. Who are you? You may call me Chorus. And where exactly am I? Iridia, which I assume was your caravan's destination. I can think of nowhere else for a group of travelers to go. Iridia, so I made it to the City of Knowledge. After all, I should feel relieved, but all I can manage is a vague sense of increasing unease. How did I end up here? I brought you to my clinic, of course. You were the only survivor from the caravan, barely clinging to life. You needed immediate treatment, which you provided? Yes. He says it so simply, as if I'm a small child, and he's explaining basic addition to me. I frown and flex the fingers on my recently healed arm. Aside from being a bit stiff, it feels fine, thoroughly attached to me. You're saying that you stitched my arm back on. Pardon? A Solus attacked the caravan. It ripped everyone to shreds. It tore my arm clean off. But when I woke up here, I trail off, bewildered. I've never heard of any magic that could heal a mortal wound like that. What kind of person could do such a thing? The doctor, Kuras, pinches the bridge of his nose. He sits back down in his chair, quiet for a long time. So he's asking questions, but doesn't want to answer any. If you don't reveal anything about yourself, I will not reveal anything about myself. This is a give and take thing. I do not know where you come from, but Iridia is the city of knowledge and deadly secrets alike. Information is power, and it is most unwise to give or receive it freely. Since you have refused to divulge your secrets, I will not divulge mine. I do not even know your name. Well, one of us has to start. Well, but you're right, I refused, so you can't refuse too, I guess. I was just... You are new to Iridia, so I will overlook the specific breach of etiquette. However, you should not expect others to extend the same courtesy. So he's a bit tight-laced. Do you understand? He looks pointedly at my freshly bandaged hands. Loath though I am to admit it, he has a point. I'm also a complete stranger to him, and if he's telling the truth, he saved my life. I take a deep, steadying breath. This time, when I speak, I sound a bit more like myself. Yona Grandia. My name is Yona Grandia. It is a pleasure to meet you, Yona Grandia. There's a little more warmth in his smile, his polite demeanor back in an instant. I guess he does like people who know how to be polite and have etiquette. So I guess we're faring pretty well for now. Our choices seem to be the right ones. For now. I tend to not be very good at making choices. Yeah, let's thank him again and then we can ask. Thank you for saving my life. I chance a smile in return. Even if he won't explain how he did the impossible, there's no doubt in my mind that I'd be dead if not for a caress. Think nothing of it. I'm not sure if he's just being excessively courteous, but his words only raise more urgent questions. But I have to ask, why did you save me? You don't know me. The question seems to startle Kuras. I could hardly leave you to die in the wastes. Assisting those in need is the very essence of a doctor's duty. I've never met a doctor who also handed out free clothes. My fingers find the edge of the cloak. There's a subtle but delicately embroidered pattern around the hem. I try not to think about what kind of prince. I wish. What kind of price Kuras might ask for such well-made clothes. I don't think he would charge us. I mean, we didn't ask him to save us. I mean, maybe he would ask for a favor, but and I mean, we couldn't run around naked, could we? Like, well, no, I suppose not. Forgive my presumption. I rarely come across so fascinating a patient. I blink. What did he just say? I simply meant that few would cling to life so resolutely, or brave such a perilous journey to Iridia. I could not help being curious about you, Yonakundia. His voice dips to a soft murmur, and he abruptly looks away from me. Yeah, I think he's pretty curious himself, so we're gonna go with that one. You're pretty curious yourself. Am I? Well, I haven't forgotten about my arm. I wiggle my intact fingers at him. Yeah, I can imagine this like... Clearly not. But you haven't asked me for any payment either. I require none from you. Travelers do not have an abundance of coin, and it would be unethical to leave you destitute in a strange place. I fall silent, unsure what to say to that. Nobody would help a horror like me for free. There has to be some kind of catch or trick, right? A loud knock at front door stops our conversation cold and spares me from having to say anything else. Duty calls. Unfortunately, you are not my only patient today. The knocking grows more insistent, and Chorus lets out a tired sigh. Please wait your turn. Though he says it quietly, the clamor on the other side of the door abruptly stops. Do you need anything before you leave, Yonakundi? Oh. Between the soulless attack and my miraculous survival, I'd almost forgotten why I came to Iridia in the first place. I need direction to the Cenobium. The Cenobium? Oh, he looks displeased. The look on his face is downright chilling. He pauses, choosing his words with cold deliberation when he speaks again. Whatever you seek, it is very unlikely you will find it there. The Cenobium's gates open for precious few visitors. Even if they did, you would not like what you found inside. My heart sinks. Is he saying that I came all this way for nothing? Risked life and limb for nothing? No, it can't be. I've only just arrived, and Iridia, the largest city, is still standing. There has to be a cure for me here. Then if not the Cenobium, where would you suggest? Do you know anyone else in Iridia? I shake my head. Then I suggest a local guide. Head to the Wet Wick and ask for Leander. Excuse me? The Wet what? The Wet Wick. He sounds deeply unamused. Follow the postings advertising Leander's bloodhounds. They are difficult to miss. When you meet Leander, tell him I sent you. He's back again to his sweet little smile. I like him much more like that. Please do not get angry again. I did not mean to upset you. That isn't much to go on, but Kuras points toward the clinic's back door. You will be safe, so long as you do not draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done. I've always been a magnet for the worst sort of attention. If you require my assistance, you may return whenever you wish. Though he's smiling, there's a note of finality in his voice. Resigned to my dismissal, I slip out the back door. I find myself standing in a narrow and rather gloomy alley. I pull the new cloak up over my nose, stepping over the contents of chamber pots that have been emptied into the streets. Something weighs heavily inside one of the cloak's pockets. My coin purse. Everything is still inside. Every last coin that I scraped. Sorry. That I scraped what? That I scraped together for the journey to Iridia. It doesn't even look like it was opened. There were so few coins to begin with, they probably weren't even worth stealing. I glanced back at the clinic's closed door. Kuras didn't take any payment. He didn't even ask for a future favor. But he also said that in Iridia, secrets are power. Does he expect me to give up mine at some point? That's not exactly a comforting thought. Still, no matter why he did it, Kuras gave me a second chance and a lead on where I might find help. I'd better get going before he changes his mind. I squeeze out of the alley and into the crowded main street. The line outside Kuras' clinic stretches down the road already. Two thin peddlers queue alongside weathered elders. If any place is in desperate need of a free clinic, it's this one. The cobblestones are treacherously rough under my feet. Deep grooves worn between them by regular flooding and decades of hard use. I knew Iridia was a river city, but I didn't expect it to look so eroded. The buildings are tired and dilapidated, dilapidated. Oh my god. All crammed together in narrow streets. And there's something else. A charge in the air, like the shift in pressure before a storm. It's subtle, little more than a faint, persistent thrumming, but I can't seem to shake it. A child darts by, clutching something greasy wrapped in paper. The smell of fried food drifts over to me. My stomach gives a faint gurgle. Well, she must be very hungry. Oh well, we. This morning's catch. Fried up, hot and fresh. Not too many eyeballs today. That sounds disgusting, but I'm starving. And I'm way too fast. But I'm starving, so I duck my head under the stall's grubby awning. A large fish leers up at me, its three bulging eyes still visible through the thick layer of crispy batter. The vendor gives me a gap-toothed grin. What's the cheapest thing you've got? The vendor points at a metal basket of what looks like long strips of savory fried dough. I mean, this... could that be something like churros? Churros sounds very, very delicious. So I hope it's churros. Fresh long legs. Free copper piece. Don't burn your mouth. I take the coins out, counting them gingerly. At this rate, I might not even be able to afford dinner. Reluctantly, I drop the payment on the counter and take my meal. I mean, 3 coins sounds a bit rough for someone who's poor. 2 streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this quarter are a dizzying riot of color, painted walls and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in open doorways. Musical voices call out invitingly. Incense mingles with the pungent scent of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a smiling man wearing a single dagger-like earring and the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circles the artwork. If Leander is the leader of the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of identical posters around a corner and nearly hit my head on a precariously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, faded orange letters read The Wet Wig. Oh, we found it! The Wet Wig. John Wick. The facade of the building looks like it's seen better days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. This Leander must probably be next love interest. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday, yet most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. Bustling bars are not something I'm used to, but I steel myself with a deep breath before pushing forward. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show! 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 The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar and their booths to rush towards the center of the room in a sudden torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept along in the ale-stenched current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I trash, throwing out my elbows as the press of bodies grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself. But the crowd has stilled. The chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Across the tabletop? So on top of the... Why would you be on top? That's disgusting. People eat at a drink there. Seriously, your dogs again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. Oh. Oh! He looks mad fine. Look at that scar. And those lips. And that earring. I'm sorry. Oh my god. He's good looking. I bet everyone is going to be good looking. Just going to be sad because then I won't be able to choose who to date first. Considering it's just a prologue, we're probably not gonna get into a route, or at least not as far to say that our character will have romantic feelings for anyone. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by the thick lapels of trench coat. This really is the last time, alright? This time when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. But nothing is as captivating as a smile. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and a dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light, real magic, no ordinary stage trick, blinds me. Oh! As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist, and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one glowing lily petals spring forth. The lily petals look great. They kind of look luminescent. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. A genuine magic show was the last thing I expected from a place called the Wet Wig. Well, I mean it. The more I say it, the more stupid it sounds. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now, who could use some good luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table, some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool, green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. I mean, we're the main character. We're just that astonishing. Stunning. My god. I can't English anymore. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person gathered turns to stare at me. How could we refuse when he's looking at us with such a charming smile? We can't refuse those flowers. We have to take them. I reach out, all too aware of the way my fingers tremble as I carefully take the flowers from him. There's no weight to them, only a faint warmth that radiates from the stems. As soon as the flowers leave, Leander's hands, their light dims. They fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Dang. He looks like he got titties. Leander steps off the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. All right, bloodhounds, get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green clogs disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulder presses against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. We're so lucky. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly, with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. My, you know how to use your tongue, do you? Not in a sexual way, but you know. My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprise me. I'd add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit, I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. I'll have what he's having. I think that's a good way to have a conversation starter. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbows on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower lids. His eyes wander over me in return, but when they lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the wake? Kura sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but it immediately falls right back into place. So, it's about work. Well, sorry. I was not trying to sour your mood, but I also have business. And you're my only hope. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses filled with what I can only assume is beer. I raise my glass and give it an experimental sniff. It smells faintly yeasty, but with an undercurrent I can't quite place. A quick sip confirms my worst suspicions. It's awful. Somehow briny and sour in a way that reminds me of pickles. Ew. But any thought of complaining dies the moment I look up and see Leander taking a deep swig from his glass. He lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Okay, that was not how I would have started the conversation. Especially after seeing Kura's reaction to the cenobium, I probably would have kind of put the backstory there and then told him that's why I need to get to the cenobium. Or not be like, I want to get to the cenobium. That was such a stupid move. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you bringing up the cenobium in here? Throw him out. This is bloodhound territory. The vitriol catches me off guard from the angry looks thrown my way. It's clear I've broken some unspoken rule just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking as though he has noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Yeah, sorry about them. The cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind a wet wig, where layers of frayed Bloodhounds posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Oh? Okay, I didn't know there were posters out there of his face. Kurus did send you here for help with the Cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. Yet here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the Cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Curse told you the truth. The Cenobians dangerous. Get on their bad side and they'll imprison you if you're lucky or torture you if you're not. But the Cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The Cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. If any place had answers, it would be the Cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think. But things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there's solutions to every problem and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kurus pointed you to the Bloodhounds. Let us help you. Whether it's hunting soulless, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables, we can do it all. And free of charge. What do you mean free of charge? You wouldn't be doing those... it wouldn't be a job if you'd be doing it free for charge. Free of charge. Okay, no matter. I'm shaking my head before he's even finished his practiced speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my jargon, Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious. And if the Cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along, as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out, that is, if you'll tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the Cenobium, but he is a mage, and a powerful one at that if his demonstration earlier is any indication. I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. I hate to admit it, but this could be the only path forward. My confusion comes out in a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and finally my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain. My voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his glove off. He tucks his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand, and a prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm. But I'm already shrinking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him. To see his kind face twist into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you come from, Your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in the city and you'll see 1,000 curses and twice as many cures. Do you really think Curse would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium. Better, even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile. Then, with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. He is great. He's very charismatic. Sorry, I just needed a second to admire him. Anyway, let's continue. Then with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine. But if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first, if it makes you feel better. With each joint I expose, I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. Well, I mean, it's safe first, but I think we should touch him. I think it won't help us if we're not doing that. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, expecting to see the worst, Leander only grins. See? It can't be. This time when I reach out to touch Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. He trails off. Oh my... Is he blushing? Are my eyes deceiving me, or is he blushing? Oh my... Look at that. Oh, Jesus. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, pick up every single detail, the grooves of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand, not without dire consequences. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to his excitement. You're asking me if I want to keep touching him? Of course I do. Of course. My hand glides over Leander's wrist and up his forearm, where smooth skin abruptly gives way to the raised scar by the edge of his sleeve. It matches the one that runs from his collar to cheekbone. Could it be the same wound? I glance at Leander's face, and his lips part as he considers his words before speaking. Am I the first person you've been able to touch like this? My hand goes still on his arm. So far, I'll admit your touch does make it somewhat difficult to stay level-headed, but not due to your power. He takes my hand, his soft green eyes flick to mine before he turns it to inspect the golden fishes crisscrossing my knuckles. Look, we match. You're making me blood. You're making me so happy. Jesus. He's so cute. I can't. He points at a golden pin on his coat collar, and I give him a small smile. I draw my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Yona Grandir. You were right to hide this from me, Yona Grandir. That curse of yours, it's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. Yes, thank you. The wet wig is noticeably quiet. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left, or did my lot grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter. You know I always keep the corner room open for your escapades. Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained, and I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend, Yona Grandir. Sure. Stay as long as you like. You too have fun. Escapades, right? Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound raids. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, and anything you need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small, but weighs heavy in my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone 3 meals. Thank you. Go explore, Yona Grandir. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers. But if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at the gleaming bronze key, before tucking it into the pocket of my cloak for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. The air clings sudden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless streets look barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone, only a pair of crows remain, quibbling over stale crusts in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Kuras and Leander both made it clear that the cenobium can't be trusted. But I came so far, endured so much. I need to see the cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, until a puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. The shadow runs down the street in rivulets. Formless dark spreads like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch. A muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep, I feel it. I want to run, to scream, but I feel trapped, as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws around me shut. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone, except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop. Oh, another handsome fella. Are we being blessed or are we being blessed? A monster, that much is clear from a glance. One that could nearly be mistaken for human, were it not for the tufted ears, the tail curled around his ankle. He's not a monster, look at him. He's way too pretty to be one. He's a beastman. Or woman, or non-binary. Or the dusk pink eyes with pupils that sharpen like needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet, and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me unsettlingly of blood, where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulder to make sure he's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger rubs his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I've seen are the Wicks drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye. With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. It turns on its chain, glittering when it catches the light. Hey! You thief! I don't like you! You can leave, but give me back my key first. My hands fly to my cloak's pockets and sure enough find them flat. He crooks his fingers, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. I'm still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that a stranger's shadow flickers at the edges of my vision. I always attract the worst kind of attention, but I can't get rattled now. Who said that's my key? Well, we won't get it back if we tell them it's not ours, do we? Well, let's go with where did you find it? He probably stole it. This little thief. Very untrustworthy. How do you even find it? The key, I mean. What can I say? I'm a sucker for shiny things. He smiles wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. City like this, somebody might take advantage. Did we drop it though? I do not trust you. The way you're holding it and smiling at me makes it seem like he isn't. Like he's just a thief, just saying we dropped it. Exactly. Our self agrees. A bald-faced lie said without a hint of irony. I can't figure out how he picked my pockets under my nose, but I'm certain he took my key, and I need it back. I approached the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. He doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. He's so handsome, but I don't like thieves. God damn it, give me back my key. The stranger's chain softly clings with the tilt of his head. His ear flicks. Keeping your distance. I'd be stupid to trust you. You think I stole your dinky little key from all the way over here? He gives an exaggerated sigh. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? In fact, you do. He does. With that little smile. Untrusty, furry fella. He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. He could still be a thief. I know people that earn a lot of money and steal from other people. You know, that says nothing about one's habit of stealing things. And then there's the shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into that shadow, I feel something odder than dread. My face grows hard. That's not what I mean. Wait, was he just suggesting what I think he was suggesting? Jesus. Hey, that's a trickster right there. I'm flattered, really. Resect's my trade. I might make an exception for you. How about half off for a handy? Or you could just hand over my key? Please. My gosh. I'm getting all red. Ask nicely and I might even let you tuck my tail. Well, that's an enticing offer. Just throw it here. So some spindly little street urchin can snatch it and run. He raises my key, tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I could just claim your room for myself. Not that I'd be caught dead slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveler, what misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with derision. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pig pen, I wonder? He lists as he watches the arc of my key swinging around his finger. The weather's shit, the foot's drag, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe. Unless... Dagger sharp eyes flick toward me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. Excuse me! My good man. What makes you think that? To consort with monsters? I was nearly decapitated by one. No, thank you. By now, my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've ever heard of. I would like to turn him down, but also I want to know what we do if we flirt back. You know, let's just do what probably pleases him more, because we really need to get that key. How do you know that I spent all my money, starved, and nearly died in a swamp, just so I could crawl into bed with the first thirsty monster I saw? That earns me a burst of breathy laughter. He gazes at me under his dark lashes. Aren't you funny? Could you be any more obvious? I have been told subtlety is not my strength. So your place or mine? I don't mind you. If only I had my key, then I might be able to invite you up. His languid gaze slides from me to the key in his hands and back. Come, take my hand and we'll go together. The more he flirts, the more convinced I become that this is some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have tricks up their sleeves. Oh, so they actually are called monsters if they have like some kind of beastly quality to them. I thought monsters would be those soulless things we encountered. And something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. I don't know what you want, or why you're messing with me, but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack or bite. I won't bite hard unless you beg me. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a traveling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. Their lutist is utterly exquisite, truly a performance to die for. There's life in this dreadful place, if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's gaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his fingers. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. Hightown, Loudtown, I know Iridia like the back of my hand. What about the Cenobium? Do you know where that is? His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it. That absurdly large tower looming over the rest, it's a little hard to miss. He must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. The Cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can't show you things those stuffy boars in their limp, thick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Oh, have you some pressing matters at the Cenobium? Lunch dates with librarians? Tea time with the most esteemed abbess? That's my business. What's it matter to you? I square my shoulders, and amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss. The stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand towards me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey! I thought he was bored now. I thought he would leave. Why do you do that? He yanks me down, and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel under his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them, even as his fingers dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood. You reek of death and the road. And that fucking doctor. Ooh. His voice, once silken, lowers to smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he beholds me closer. And something else. He murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go! I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But just when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His white, flat eyes gleam with naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both. Where? Oh, that's his name. The stranger's ears flatten, and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, messaging it where his grip left, grooves in the bandages. Guess his fun is short-lived. The stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her breast uniform marks her as a cleric of the Cenobium. I leave you for all of what? 10 minutes, and you're making trouble again. Will you quit harassing the tourists? The stranger, here, I take it, rolls his eyes, flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see this is a friend of mine? A natural liar. He grins at me, and his tail swishes minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Rare cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice. Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Danger's drawn to you like a moth to flame. It will always find you, given time. The woman clucks her tongue, as though she's heard this recital 102 times. Word of advice: don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to a drowning man for the sheer enjoyment of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Veer. Oh, please. Any friend of yours knows it's true. Now hold still. Veer rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line of his neck. And suddenly it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A hairy iron chain wound around a hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Veer posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a keyring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on, unless your friend tagging along on our merry little soulless hunt. They're hunting for soulless inside the city. Words momentarily fail me. Oh, The woman regards me with a polite, if tight smile, before marching down the stairs. Veer lingers. He stretches his arms over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the very his stomach flattens and he arches his back. Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed. Veer hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hadn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned? The Doventian knot? That the one where you take the 3 fingers and actually... Don't tell me. Knowing you, it's disgusting. Mia's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. We're still missing our key. Wait! Reflexively, I shove my hands into my pocket and find it. The room key. Oh. He probably dropped it when he got close to us. I pull it out of my pocket and raise it to the light just to be sure. A nagging feeling distracts from my relief. I don't know what Rhea's game was or what he wanted from me. All I know for certain is that the Cenobium saw fit to leash him, a fate I could share, if that's what his vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns, gently swaying in the breeze, to the Cenobiums faintly visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need, then I can put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river that splits Aridia into a colossal bridge arches of the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing ever uphill toward the distant tower.